Welcome to this week's episode. I'm Paula Williams,
John Lloyd.
and we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is
To help all you folks out there in the aviation world sell more of your products and services, hopefully easier.
right, exactly. And it's been a while since John and I have done one of these episodes, but there have been a lot of really new and cool things, and I thought it would be really fun to do this. And also, we've had requests to see more of John, so that is a good thing. And I think this makes a really good opportunity for a conversation about prospecting and ChatGPT. And the reason that I think this is a good conversation is because we're going to do this kind of like a cooking show. Hopefully, this is something that is going to be very much worth your time to take notes and also try this on your own. Substitute our examples for yours and make this work for you. Because I think if you've done this once, you're going to find that it really revolutionizes your business, because prospecting is one thing that we have the hardest time with. And a lot of us have a bad taste in our mouth about ChatGPT because we are barraged by stupid, lazy, crappy GPT spewed messages, right? In our LinkedIn and other places.
Yeah, no joke.
And this is not that, I promise.
And if you can tell this generated by ChatGPT, they're doing it wrong.
Absolutely. Okay, so today we're going to focus on targeting, which is one of the most powerful yet least understood parts of the prospecting process. This is, a lot of folks in the aviation industry will buy a list, or they will subscribe to a service like JetNet or AirPack or any of the others, and they spend a lot of money on these things. Or lead lists or association lists. You used to be able to get those for free, but now you can't. So there are some free sources and there are some paid sources for data. But once you get that data, you have this list of 100,000 owners of Citation XLSs, as an example. However many aircraft there are of those citations on the market or whatever. A lot of people think that prospecting is just basically starting with the A's and dialing for dollars as they go through that list that they purchased, which, we really want to be smarter about the way we use our time. And we also want to be a lot more, what is the word, respectful of the other person's time, and make sure that we're doing our targeting correctly. In fact, I heard a quote recently from Bill Caskey that said, if you do your targeting right, every no is temporary.
Now, there's the thought.
Exactly. What that means is that if you are really doing your targeting well, then every person that's on your list is going to need your services eventually. Maybe not right now, but they're in the right market and all of those things. So that just makes your time a whole lot more valuable in this prospecting process. So we're going to be using several tools today, one of which is the FAA database, the other of which is ChatGPT, and the other of which is LinkedIn. All of those you can get for free, right?
Yep. So let's just digress for a moment.
Okay.
When you say if you target right, every no is eventually going to be a yes.
Yes.
And that's pretty cool, because what that does is in general, in all the sales classes that I've been to, at least, they tell you that 20% of the people don't need to be sold to. 20% of the people you can't sell to, your job is the other 60%.
Okay.
If you target correctly,
Mhm.
that eliminates 20%, and that means that you've got a lot more time to spend on the 60%.
That is true. I guess, though, the 20% probably assumes that your targeting isn't perfect.
Right.
It also assumes, somebody could get hit by a bus tomorrow or whatever. But, there's always, nothing is ever perfect in this world. But it's as close as we can get. And it sure is a heck of a lot better than just dialing for dollars in an alphabetical manner.
But
Right?
targeting is exactly the thing to do. And the more precise, the better. Because I know when we started this company, our targeting was
Off.
world.
Right. It was so far off. Okay. So, what ChatGPT is terrible at is sounding like a human. What ChatGPT is amazing at is analyzing big chunks of data. It is a machine. It's a computer. It's really good at taking more data than we as humans can possibly process, and making sense of it and seeing patterns and doing all of those things. So the first thing that you want to do, and we're going to use kind of a fictitious scenario here. So we're going to invent an MRO in Omaha. We're going to call it XYZ MRO. And their objective, or their sales objective for this campaign, is to increase the number of phase inspections that they do for Citation XLSs. You with me so far?
So that's easy. I mean,
Okay, cool.
step is easy.
All right. So the first thing that they're going to want to do is dump in all of their current data from Salesforce, from HubSpot, from MailChimp, from any other source that they have about their current customers and about anybody else. And you, as the security guy, are now going to start screaming, right? That you don't want all that data. You don't want to make all that data public, right?
Well, no joke.
Okay, you're not screaming. So that's good. Okay, so what you do to prevent that is you can use a paid version of ChatGPT and click a box that says exclude our data from training data, or keep my data private, right? So you set your privacy settings so that whatever you give it in this exercise is going to be private, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So you with me so far?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you can also create a separate GPT, but that's a class for another day. Today, we're just going to talk about doing one conversation in ChatGPT. So you download everything that you can from all of the sources you currently have. That's your Salesforce, your LinkedIn, well, you can't export sources from LinkedIn anymore. Scratch that. You export from your Salesforce, from your lead feeder. If you're with us, you're using lead feeder to analyze your data from your website. If you are using MailChimp or some other email provider, it keeps data on, who you're talking to on a regular basis and things like that. So what you want to start with is who you are currently doing business with. So you dump all that data into ChatGPT, and I'm going to give you an example and actually show you how we do this in just a minute. But assuming you do that, and then you type into ChatGPT, what are the common features, or what commonalities can you find among this data? We are looking for our ICP, which is our ideal customer profile. What what can you extrapolate from all of this data to help us better define our ICP? With me so far?
And it will provide something as a starting point.
That's probably pretty insightful. We did this with our customers, and we were absolutely astonished to find that a lot of them were founders, a lot of them were firstborn children, a lot of them were, different things that I never would have thought of that they have in common. A lot of them are uh, likers of a particular magazine and a particular style of music. I had no idea, until we got into that.
Our spelling insightful as in SIGHT.
Right. Okay. So now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Assuming that you did not get enough data, or that you want to improve on that, you go to the FAA, right? The FAA has publicly available data on its licensees for the most part. Here we're just looking at Part 135 operators as potential customers for our fictitious MRO, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I can download this Excel spreadsheet. Years ago, this would have just killed my computer because the FAA data was just so big and so unwieldy, and personal computers were so small and frail. This wasn't really manageable, but I'm going to show you what I do with it. So I downloaded that, and then I go to ChatGPT. So I'm going to share that. So I uploaded that spreadsheet, that CSV file, or XLS file, I guess, XLSS file that I just downloaded from the FAA website. So now I have that, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT. And this, once again, is in a private instance, so it's not going to share my data with anybody. But please locate from this data any operators that would be within ideal distance for a phase inspection for a Citation XLS plus. So this is actually two questions that I'm asking at the same time. And if it were a normal program, I wouldn't be able to do that. So first of all, I'm saying, what is the ideal distance for a phase inspection for an XLS plus? Second question is, who in this set of data should I include in that? So we'll let it cook for a minute. And this is the first time I'm doing this. So you're seeing this for the first time.
As are you.
Okay, exactly. So step one, narrow search by region. Okay, it's doing that. And then step two is it didn't see that I had included the directory. So we see the uploaded data. And this is actually kind of cool that we're doing this live because this is going to happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is not perfect.
By the way, just FYI, I have another company I work with that is not connected to marketing in any way, shape, or means. And they use ChatGPT a lot. And it sometimes comes back with some interesting. You have to look at it and say, really?
Right.
Then you have
Exactly. So you don't trust anything that it says on the first try. And sometimes it will say, you know what, I need a different format. So then you have to do that. So here is our, it didn't like the XLSS format. So I'm going to really quickly export this data to a different file type.
to make it a CSV, you save it as a CSV and see what that does.
It actually prefers PDFs, which shouldn't be the case, but it is often.
Oh, then save it as a PDF. That's all you got.
Exactly. I know it's really dumb. I think. I guess I don't really know what's really dumb, but it seems to me that an XLS file would be okay. It actually has too many records for that. Let me try an SCSV.
Can't you just save it as a PDF?
I tried saving it as a PDF. There are too many records for that.
Really?
Yeah, it says it exceeds the limit for an export of that type. It's a big file. Okay, so now I have it as a CSV. Hopefully that will be better.
And you can save that as a PDF if it doesn't like it.
Right. So you go back and forth. Okay, so let's try saving it as a PDF from the CSV.
Yeah, that might work. Did it?
It's thinking, processing. We'll have to cut this part out. It's just too slow. Processing.
Well, at least it didn't bomb yet.
Yeah, exactly. So let's try that. You can always cut and paste the data directly
Yeah,
into
it's better this way. People can see what's going on.
yeah, into ChatGPT, but there it is as a PDF. Let's see if it will upload. I think part of the problem that people have with ChatGPT is that they give up much too quickly. So, that is a problem. So now it's extracting the data. Let's see, please use your, now it forgot what it just said. It says it wants to do these target locations and FBOs. So I'm going to give it those target FBOs, remind it of what it already concluded. And it's almost like working with somebody who is not quite all there, right? They're very, very talented. Do you remember the movie The Accountant, John?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he had these big banker's boxes of data, and he would like write all over the walls with a black magic marker, and then he would write all over the walls with a red magic marker, and then he would look for the patterns. But there were some definite limitations in his ability to analyze some facets of this agreement and work with people and things like that. So ChatGPT has its strengths and weaknesses and so on. Okay, so here we are. I have located operators with relevant aircraft in the specific regions. All right, so here they are. Okay, please make a list. All right, So now we're getting somewhere, right? So we have 7 airports, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 operators. So that is great. We always like to start with a top 10 list for a marketing campaign, and this gives us a really great place to start. Another thing that we can do is say, please expand to the top 100 operators by region or by proximity, right?
Yep.
Okay. So now it's going to give us the top 100 by proximity. Then we're going to say, given what you know about our ideal customer type, which we found out when we uploaded our data from Salesforce and so on, we know that our ideal customer type or our ideal customer profile, and sometimes you have to remind ChatGPT of these facts, is companies with, we'll say 30 to 100 employees, less than 200 aircraft under management, and whatever else we want to say. Please narrow the list by these criteria. Okay. So it'll give us some pretty nice details and things like that to help us narrow down our search and to create, basically which ones are the most likely to be customers based on this. Then we're going to ask, do you have contact information for actually, let's ask it first. We want to find out who is the ideal person to contact for this type of information. So we'll ask it for a phase inspect. We'll ask, do you have a list of these individuals from the FAA data? If not, then we'll go to LinkedIn and we'll find them that way. Right?
Yep.
You scared yet?
Ah, no, not yet. Let's see where it goes.
Exactly. Okay, so executive flight services will take the first one, and we will go to LinkedIn. Cool. So executive flight services, I'm looking for the company executive flight services, and I'm looking for which location did it say? Let's see what it said in Wichita.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so the company isn't listed, or at least not by that location. So, but what I can do is look for people at Executive Flight Services in Wichita. Current company, right, in Wichita, Kansas. So I have a pilot, but I do not have anybody else. So I might need to go to an industry directory or something else to find out who do I know at Executive Flight Services. I can actually go to their website. They have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. They're not active on LinkedIn. That explains a lot. So we'll try a different one for this exercise just to see how this works. But you can see what I'm doing. I'm basically, rather than just going through an entire list, I've narrowed it down to 100. And I can take it from there to play with the filters on LinkedIn to see who it is that I know that would make sense for this sort of thing, right? So I can look for who do I know, who am I first or second degree connected to? I can look for who is the most likely based on their job titles and things like that. And then, of course, I can always get in touch with that person either by LinkedIn message. If I have a premium account, I can message people I'm not connected to. and just say, hey, I didn't know that if you were aware that we are an option for phase inspections, and here are some of the reasons that we might be better than your current option. We don't want to be too pitchy on that first contact, but at least we have an idea from this targeting that they are an ideal prospective customer, right?
Absolutely.
Right, exactly. Okay, so what we did, just to quickly summarize, we did a fictitious situation, right? Where we are a XYZ MRO and we're located in Omaha, Nebraska. We wanted to create a campaign where we're finding a top 10 list of people to approach about phase inspections for Citation XLS aircraft, right?
Yep.
So we used our current data to figure out our ideal customer profile. We figured out what the company size is. We figured out a lot of different things about them. And then we used ChatGPT to narrow down the FAA data based on those criteria, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then what we did is we used LinkedIn to take it kind of the last mile from the company to the individual of, who is the individual that is most likely to want to purchase our service.
This is not a problem because you're using currently public data from FAA. So
Right.
whoever's in there is public knowledge.
Exactly. Right. And, hopefully the people that are listening to this podcast aren't going to be messaging Wade Henska and telling him that they should come to him for their phase inspections. Hopefully that example was abstract enough that everybody is using their own data and their own situation and everything else and coming up with different answers based on, what this information is giving them. So it was a pretty simple process, though, don't you think?
Oh yeah, but it also accentuates the need for what we at least call the AI sandwich. See, you give ChatGPT the request, it goes out there and does its thing. And you say, I don't think so. Refine the situation, come back, maybe you at iterative times, and then at the end of it, then you do what you have to do.
Exactly. So ChatGPT was not the end all and be all of this search. We used three different tools, the FAA database, ChatGPT, and LinkedIn, as well as our own brains, to figure out if we were doing our targeting correctly. But I think ChatGPT is 1,000 times better at targeting than it is at writing.
Right.
Cool. All right. So,
Analyzes data quite nicely, most of
yeah. Right. And, we will offer examples of some of the prompts that we used in this exercise and prompts that you can use in your targeting. We'll create a nice little guide for you that you can download from our website. But I don't want you to you saw what happened when we were in ChatGPT. We had to go back and forth several times. You don't want to, this is, I think, one of the main failings of people that are using ChatGPT for the first couple of times is they'll say, oh, it didn't work. So they'll give up on it. We
Yes.
had to use 3 different file types for this, and we had to ask the question a couple of different ways. We had to remind it of things that we had said earlier in the conversation. So as it improves, it'll be better. But you just have to remember that you're the human, you're the boss, right?
In my experience in a more technical environment, sometimes it gets the pieces and parts wrong, and you say, "No, I know this." Da 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 da. And it says, and it changes for a while. And it goes, "Oh, yes, I see where I made the mistake. This,
Mhm.
and I made it because of this reason here, and this assumption, and this." And you're absolutely correct, and it goes off the track you want.
Right, exactly. So it does does a pretty nice job of making that work. But it does take some effort, and it is worth the effort because otherwise we would be spending all day and we would be on about call 10 by now of
Oh,
10,000. And we'd just be annoying people left, right, and center so that they'd have a bad taste in their mouth. The next time they hear from us, they'll think we don't know what we're talking about because we hadn't done our research and, we hadn't done our targeting correctly.
well, it speeds up everything quite a bit.
Right, exactly. So, in our next episode, we're going to talk about using ChatGPT for approaching. So, once we figure out who it is that we're going to approach and we have that nice top 10 list, we'll talk about how to use ChatGPT to help generate an appropriate approach. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yep.
All right. Cool. Thank you and have a lovely afternoon.
Ciao.